Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I started my Christian coaching business in December of 2018, just hoping to make it. I wasn't sure that I was good enough. I had a lot of self-doubt. I was overwhelmed by all the ideas in the marketplace, and I knew I had to just surrender to God and move forward with simple strategies. When I did that, I had a lot of success. I did over $250,000 in revenue my first year in business, far beyond what I thought was possible. And now I've worked with over 1,000 Christian coaches, helping them accomplish their entrepreneurial dreams. And this podcast is all about that. It's about helping you learn high integrity sales and marketing strategies, along with business design and offer strategies that are going to help you have success so that you can grow your income and grow your impact and do it in a high integrity way that honors God. Today, I have a special guest, my friend. My friend Myrna Miott is here with me today. And Myrna is multi-talented. She's an amazing mom, an amazing person. She's a great coach and leader, and she's a great salesperson. She helps a lot of people in the marketplace, coaches and entrepreneurs, learn business development and business growth. She also works with nonprofits to help them grow their fundraising efforts and do it in a high integrity way. She's super cool. She's my friend, and she also is part of the Faith to Influence team. So she does some sales for us and for our clients, and she got into the high ticket sales world a little over a year ago working with us. And I just wanted to have her on the show to talk about the journey of developing the high ticket sales skill set, because it's not easy. And if you haven't done it before, it can feel really heavy and daunting in the early days. She's been through a lot of that, some ups and some downs, some mistakes, some wins, some successes. And I just wanted to invite her to authentically share some of that today. Myrna, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to share from your vantage point, your history with Faith to Influence and how you got here into the high ticket sales world? Tell
Yeah,
us that
sure.
story.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. Not something that I expected to do, but I think that this is what God had for me. So, I guess before meeting you, I was owning a digital marketing agency. I don't even know if you knew that. And that's how I actually came to meet you, because I was at a digital marketing conference where you were a speaker. And somehow I was captivated when I heard sales is love.
Hmm.
And I never saw sales that way, but I knew that our marketing agency needed sales. And at that point, I was in a place where I didn't want to own a digital marketing agency anymore, but I thought that I still wanted to do digital marketing. I wanted to be part of the team. So when you met me, I was coming in with another team, and they had decided that I would be the one that was doing sales. And so when I heard that message, it was just something that I needed to hear in that moment. And I was like, I can do this because I love loving people,
Hmm.
and if sales is love, like this might be the vehicle.
That's awesome. I remember meeting you at that conference, and you were really confident, or at least you
Mhm.
seemed really confident. Now you've been honest with me at times that sometimes you feel nervous or scared. Usually when you feel nervous or scared, in my
Mhm.
experience, I
Mhm.
don't notice that in you. You seemed really confident, just bubbly and outgoing and friendly, and I remember
Mhm.
we got to sit and eat dinner together, and I just thought you were so cool. And what's awesome is you became a client first. You came out to our conference and you joined our community, and
Mhm.
after working together for a little while, you took on a big challenge
Mhm.
in wanting to meet a lot of people and recognizing that your network is your net worth. And you went on this journey to try to engage as many new entrepreneurs as you could. Tell us
Yeah.
about that. What was that about?
Well, the part that you might be seeing or having experienced is that I am a natural relationship builder.
Mhm.
Like that's something that just has always come natural to me. So when I'm at a conference and, at a networking event, I'm going to network. I'm going to go around, meet people. And so you might have seen me in my element in that way,
Mm.
right? And then when we ended up having a conversation, because that's what happens when you network, right? So we ended up booking a call, and then you invited me to be part of Christian Coaches Academy. And then when I came into Christian Coaches Academy, I went to a conference. That's what happened. I went to CCA Live, and then I made this crazy commitment, because when people go to CCA live, that can happen, you know. So I got super energized and pumped, and I was like, I'm going to meet 100 people. I'm going to have 100 coffee chats by December. And in that time, it was, when was it? June? It must have been June.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I remember saying, that's nothing. I could do 7 calls in a week, right? 5 to 7. And man, it was like the hardest thing. I don't want to say hard. It was challenging. It
Yeah.
was challenging. And by committing to doing that, just so many things opened up for me just from that, because the more conversations you have, the more opportunity opens up.
That's right. I love it. And we talk about it. I heard this idea from Jason Elkins. We actually have a podcast episode on it. He
Mhm.
he calls it 100 cups of coffee,
Yeah.
and just trying to meet all those different people. And it's so interesting what can happen. Like you said, the doors that can open, the relationships, the value, the opportunities. And so if somebody's listening to this and they're a coach or an entrepreneur just getting started, I want to encourage you, maybe consider doing what Myrna did and just say, I'm just going to start meeting people. I'm just going to start having conversations. If we get on Zoom and have real conversations with real people, we open the door to the next step, which could be a referral, it could be a partnership, could be a collaboration, could be a speaking opportunity, could be a sale, could be any of a number of other things. So many good things, though, can come of just having those conversations. So I was watching you have all
Mhm.
these conversations, and if people listening to this have not been involved with Faith to Influence before, our Christian Coaches Academy, our membership community, that's $75 a month. We call it CCA. One of the cool parts of it is we have a weekly prayer and networking call. And on that
Mhm.
weekly prayer call, we get on and we begin with praise reports for about 15 or 20 minutes before breaking into small groups and getting to know some new people. And then we do prayer at the end. But in the praise reports for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, everyone was just buzzing about their calls with you. People kept like unmuting and being like, I had the most amazing call with Myrna and she taught me this, or I just, she's so amazing. She's so awesome. And she encouraged me and she coached me and she helped me with this and she introduced me to this person. And like your name just kept coming up over and over and over. And everyone was loving their conversations with you. And I started thinking, wow, if you're going to like have this many conversations with Christian coaches, maybe you should
Mhm.
be part of our sales team. Maybe these people should be giving you referrals. Maybe they should be upgrading into sales school and doing other things with us, because you were showing the capacity to network and meet people. And that's
Mhm.
what I saw in you that immediately made me think, wow, I want you to be part of my team, which is one of the opportunities that's come from you deciding to put yourself out there and just network and meet people, is other people start to notice when you're
Mhm.
showing up in the marketplace that way, and
Mhm.
they start to get curious, and an opportunity can come from that. So I hope our listeners are encouraged by that, because that was a cool thing that you did. And so then you started working with us and you started doing some sales for Faith to Influence, among other things that you're doing.
Mhm.
And you made a bunch of sales. I think you did better than you expected. But there's been ups and downs. I'd love
Mhm.
for you to share 1 or 2 or 3 things that have been difficult for you, or that were difficult for you, that you've been able to overcome in learning high ticket sales through repetition. What are some of the challenges that you faced in
Mhm.
this new role?
Um, the one that comes to mind, like just right there on top, is just having discipline.
Mm,
So there's certain things when you, I guess, decide to do sales. There's things that's kind of like grunt work, but it
mhm,
has to be done.
mhm.
Like all I want to do is just talk to people. I love talking to people. But in order to get people to talk to me, I have to send messages and ask them to agree to talk to me.
That's right.
And so that's probably one of the most challenging parts, is that I have to commit to sending messages every day. Not even every week, every day. I have to
Mhm.
send messages and ask people to meet with me. In the
Yeah.
moment that I get tired of doing that, or if I get lazy, that's when I don't have a lot of calls on my calendar.
That's right. Everything comes to a screeching halt. Okay, this is so good. Myrna asked me when we scheduled this interview. She said, "Oh, give me the outline. Like, what do I need to prep for?" And I said, there is no outline. I don't know what I'm going to ask you. Like, I just kind of like to, flow. So she didn't know I was going to ask this question or what she was going to share, and I didn't know what she was going to share. But this is the perfect share for people to listen to, because it's the truth. And it's most of our listeners would probably recognize, if they do a little self-check right now, that they struggle with the same thing, the discipline,
Hmm.
specifically in the area of prospecting. Prospecting is sending messages or reaching out to people in one way or another to invite them to a real conversation. And that is ultimately like the key task that creates calls on our calendar, creates revenue, creates income. It's like the most valuable income producing activity that we can do is reach out to somebody, invite them to a conversation. And so the discipline around that has been tough. You've noticed, I think, during certain seasons when you're really disciplined, you had more sales.
Oh yeah.
In other seasons where you got tired of it, or you're like, oh, I'll just take a few days off, then all of a sudden momentum slows really quickly. And you're like,
Hmm.
wait, what happened? And it feels like there's this almost starting over. And so there's a great lesson in that. What other lessons have you learned? And what have you gotten good at? If you just want to, and I know this might be hard for you, but if you just gave yourself a pat on the back, what have you learned and developed and gotten good at as you've
Hmm.
practiced sales over the last year?
Um, I feel like I've gotten there's a couple thoughts that are rushing my brain. That's why it's taking me a minute
Yeah.
to answer. Um, this last week, like I've been practicing a lot,
Yeah.
and practicing with the camera on,
Yeah.
practicing out loud with no one else there. Sometimes practicing with a friend,
Mm.
and that has allowed me to get better.
Yes. Mm. Practicing with a camera and a
Yeah.
friend. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing that all the time because I
Yeah.
just thought like, okay, I got this 10-step sales process and I'm just going to jump into this call. We're going to do it. We do it over and over. If I have 5 calls in a week, or
Mm.
7 calls in a week, I'm getting a lot of practice, right? But I think that practicing more like 5 times in a day, maybe
Yeah.
that's better than doing it like once a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I love this. Yeah. Practice is so important, and that's where we talk about repetition is the key to mastery.
Hmm.
And repetition can come from the actual sales calls, which
Hmm.
requires the discipline of prospecting that you were talking about before. But
Hmm.
repetition can also come from practice, from role playing with somebody else, doing it on the camera by yourself. That's why we have our sales school community, so people can come in and practice and work on the skill set, learn, and then after the learning needs to come the implementation. You've done a
Hmm.
great job with that. I'm also curious. You've spent a year and like you really have like learned a lot, and you
Hmm.
really have developed your sales skill set so much. And by now, you've certainly closed over $100,000 in deals over the last year.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know if you've
sure.
like really what.
I said, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you really like put that together in your mind. I know you like closed like 60 grand for one of our clients. You
Hmm.
closed some $10,000 deals for us. You got a
Hmm.
bunch of like the mid to low ticket deals for us. You've sold for a couple of our other clients as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're probably well over $100,000 in sales now over the last year. And you were somebody who didn't think you were a salesperson a year ago, and now
Exactly.
you've really like learned a lot and grown a lot. What has been most rewarding about developing your sales skill set and like pursuing something that did feel like a challenge?
Hmm. I mean, just pursuing something that I saw as challenging and then actually doing it, that alone is rewarding, right? But I think that the bigger reward is the opportunity to serve people.
Mm,
So I didn't realize like what a big energizer that was.
yeah.
When you're helping someone else solve a big problem. So
Mm,
they're coming to you saying, I don't know how I'm going to get my business off the ground. And then
mm,
when you're able to show them the path forward and that you have the modules, you have the framework, you have the coach that could do this, that can help them, and
mhm.
then you see them get helped. To me, that's the best part.
Amazing. Okay. I love this and I want everyone to listen because Myrna, I think, just reframed sales in two different ways. She said she realized that it's the opportunity to serve people. Probably not what she thought sales was a year ago, year and a half
Mhm.
ago. Now she's like reframed it in her mind. She's thinking it's the opportunity to serve people. That's what she loves about it. And the second thing she said was it's the opportunity to help people solve a big problem. And this is really what sales is. We're serving people in an effort to help them solve a big problem so that they can get more of what they want or become more who God created them to become. That's amazing. I love that, Myrna. Thank you.
Can I give
Uh,
you one more?
yes, give us one more.
Okay. So, you know how much I love connection? I love
Yeah.
networking, right? It's just like crazy energizing for me.
Mm,
And so, honestly, like when I looked at it, I was like, wow, having this opportunity to do sales,
mm,
it's probably more for me.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? Not even just
mm,
the part where I get to earn, that part
mm.
just comes, right? But I'm wealthy in connections. I'm wealthy in genuine connections. I've made so many great connections because I'm selling. I'm
Yes.
serving, I'm solving problems, I'm empowering people.
Yeah.
So, and to me, that's what I'm put here to do. So I
Yes.
love the opportunity to do it.
Yes, I've had the same experience. And I remember before I started Faith to Influence, I worked for another coach for 3.5 years. And the relationships I built through those
Mhm.
sales calls, the relationships I built through networking and through prospecting and through asking for referrals and just having conversations again and again with people as like my day to day on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like it built relationships that were worth so much and are worth so much to me now, some lifelong relationships. That's a
Mhm.
great point. And you mentioned earlier, you said this is not something you expected to do, but it's what God had for you. It's one of the first things you said in the episode today. I thought that was really beautiful. It's not something I expected to do, but it's what God had for me. I know some of our listeners, coaches, salespeople, they didn't expect that they'd ever be selling. They didn't necessarily
Mhm.
expect that they'd ever be a coach or an entrepreneur running their own business. If they feel like you, this is not something that I expected to do, but
Mhm.
it's what God had for me. And maybe they're a little nervous about the sales side of it. Maybe they're a little bit wondering whether or not like they can actually do this. What bit of wisdom would you give them? What one or two or three things would you tell the new coach who feels like God is calling them to this, even though they didn't expect it? How can
Mhm.
they have success moving forward?
I'll give you something that helped me. If you're called to whatever you're called to do, if you're called to be a coach, then you're probably called to grow your business.
Mm-hmm.
And your business cannot grow unless you sell. And if you're not selling, you can't even do your calling. So when I woke up to that fact, it was like, we better get out here and grow the business. We better get out here and sell because I'm not trying to go back to God and say I buried the talent. I'm trying to hear good and faithful servant.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. I love it. That's right. So, what I'm hearing is sales equals growth. Sales equals the fulfillment of our calling. As
Mhm.
coaches, as entrepreneurs, yeah, we don't get to do the real work that we were called to do for people. We don't get to coach them until they say yes to receiving our coaching, which is what sales is all about. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. This has been a really valuable lesson, an episode. I really appreciate you, Myrna. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Um, that the Lord has given us the power to get wealth. If He's given you the calling, if He's giving you the vision, then He's going to give you the provision, and it might just be through
Mm.
sales.
Yes, if he's given us the vision, he's going to give us the provision. I love that, Myrna. Thank you so much. Hey, if you're listening to this episode, it's fun to think back with Myrna, one of my favorite people, to that first step of her joining the Christian Coaches Academy, our CCA membership community. As I'm recording this today, we've got about 120 Christian coaches and entrepreneurs in CCA. It's such an amazing community. I just want to invite our listeners to join us. It's only $75 a month. We send you a cool gift in the mail. Besides that weekly prayer and networking call, there's 25 online trainings, a whole library you can go through on your own for self-study. We do a quarterly planning session together on Zoom and so many other good things. And there's a lot of that networking kind of coffee chats going on, among other things. And so if you're interested in that, go to www.f2i, that's the number two, f2itribe.com/CCA. We would love to have you join us in that community. It could be a great first step for you, just like it was for Myrna, to new relationships and new opportunities. God bless you all. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.